I'm glad we're connecting right here because today we're talking about 7 things to make the process as easy as possible. Whereas I don't have an easy button in front of me, so I'll pretend I have one here. Bam, easy button. Let's go. Let's just jump in and start with number 1. So number 1 is reach out to me. And I don't do a lot of this in my videos and talk about the importance of reaching out to me and working with me as an agent and all this and that. But it's absolutely critical that you involve your real estate agent. I'd love to be that. But if you have another one, it's super critical that you involve your real estate agent right from the get-go, because not only are they going to have processes that they can work through with you, but they also have other professionals that they can connect you with that will really, really, really help you in the process. Super important. And so, okay, so that's number 1. Number 2 is very closely related, and it is clarify your goals. And that is something that I love doing with buyers when we hop on a Zoom call and we're chatting like this. And hopefully you don't get sick of looking at me, but really asking good questions to figure out, like, what exactly are your goals? What's your why? And then what's the why behind that why? Like, why do you want to get down here? And before we start spending all kinds of time and energy looking at things. And so you'd be surprised. You get a lot of people, like, their why is, well, I want to be near the beach. And then you press a little bit more and it's like, well, you probably won't go to the beach that much, but we'd love to be able to get to the beach every couple weeks. So where they were thinking, man, 10 minutes from the beach, now they're like, oh, shoot, if I'm 30 minutes from the beach and we can kayak more on the river, that's going to be incredible and awesome. So a lot of it just depends on your goals. Are the best schools the most important? Are larger lots the most important? If you have a larger lot, why is it? Well, you have big dogs and they need to run around and you want a place where dogs can bark. There's a lot of different things, and so many different people have so many different reasons and so many different things to factor. I find it's helpful to just pause a minute. I know I normally talk really fast, but pause a minute and just slow down to speed up, ask good questions, and clarify your goals. What are you looking for and why? So that would be number 2. Number 3 would be related to number. See how this all works together? Number 3 is related to number 2. Now we know your goals. We're going to identify the general area that you want to be in. Is it St. Johns County? Is it Duval, Clay, Nassau? We really focus on St. John's here, but even within St. John's, do you have a commute? Do you need to be near anything in particular? Do you need to be able to get to 95 quickly? Do you want to be near the river, the beach? So just really kind of looking from way up here, seeing what the neighborhoods are, what are the options, and then deciding on the best areas. And there may be a couple different pockets that you really want to dive into. So that would be number 3. Number 4, we need to figure out how much you can afford. And so that typically involves, well, if you've got cash, you've got cash, then you know what you can afford, right? But that also involves talking to a mortgage professional and just dialing those numbers in and figuring out what it's going to look like at a certain purchase price, what that's going to look like for your cash supply. So you have your down payment, and then there's closing costs, and then there's, inspection, appraisal, things like that, moving expenses, just really working together to dial in the finance spots so there's no unhappy surprises. Generally in real estate, we don't like surprises. So no surprises, and then you didn't expect certain closing costs and it just throws the deal apart. Anyways, it's much better for your mental well-being and for your pocketbook if we just slow down and figure out, hey, exactly what should the cap be that we're looking at, and what will my life look at if we can shave some money off that and live at this price point. Maybe your lifestyle's a little bit better. It's all up to you, but I'm just going to be here to help you in that process. Think that through a little bit. So that's number 4. Number 5 would be narrowing down to like the specific lots and the homes that you want to see within the neighborhoods that you're interested in, and setting up a home tour. So I'd say 9 times out of 10, when families are moving here from out of state, they have some dates in mind. They're like, hey, Austin, we're going to be in town October 16th, 17th. Can we set up a time to go look at homes? And we will work through that process and do that. Sometimes they're like, shoot, Austin, there is an amazing home. We really, really want it. Don't want to lose it. What are we going to do? And so I'll go out and I will film the house. I've got a 360 camera, or just, go around with the phone or whatever's going to work best for you guys. We'll film the house, send it to you with all the little details. So there's home tours. There's a lot of times there's video home tours online. They're not pulling in tight onto things that are maybe defects. So that lets me go through the home and just really be able to show you details. And if you guys are like, if we're doing it live, you're like, hey, let me see the countertops more closely, then I can get the camera down there and really show you how the different flakes within the granite sparkle. But that's number 5. It's getting the home tours done and finding out like which home do you want to put an offer on. So then, that was number 5. So number 6 is the offer to close process. And so it's buying the home. And there's a lot that's involved in this. And I'm actually going to put a little asterisk here, or a little sub note, that we're going to diverge and go a couple different directions here. If you're buying a resale or if you're buying a new construction home, there's 2 different processes involved. So starting with the resale, if you guys decide on a resale home, obviously working together, we'll dive so much more deeply into this whole process. But the process is you're going to make an offer on the home, and then we'll talk through all the different things that get offers accepted. It's not always price, but make an offer on the home. It gets accepted. The process then starts where you're going to have a binder deposit. Typically here, what we see is about 1%. So on a $500,000 house, the expectation generally is going to be, and it's non-negotiable, a $5,000 binder deposit within 2 or 3 days that can be wired to the title company, or you can drop off a check. But again, most people wire to the title company. Also, within the first 5 days, typically, you're going to be needing to, if you're getting a mortgage, get your application all sorted out and get that officially in for buying that house. Now, there's a lot of different wheels that are turning. There's a lot of things I won't bore you with, like when title needs to order the things that they need to order and all of that. Just forget about that right now. We're focused on the things that you need to do. And so the next thing you're going to need to do within that first 10-day period. So contract, that's day 0. Now you have 10 days to get a home inspection. And I've got some great home inspection professionals that I highly, highly, highly recommend. But if you've got one that you like too, totally fine. But you're going to get a home inspection, and they're going to go in there and they're going to be the ones that are totally nitpicking. I'm going to show you some things, but they've got all the magic equipment. They've got the guns that see heat through the wall and cold, and they can see, oh, wow, there's insulation missing there. Oh, wow, there's probably a moisture leak over there. Then they got their little moisture meters, and they've got their measurements and their ladders and their drones and all the stuff that they have that they're experts in. We let them do their work. And really, we're focused on the roof. We're focused on the foundation. We're focused on major mechanicals like AC, is that working properly? And we are focused on wood destroying organisms, or WDO. I'll do a whole other video on this stuff later, but really the home inspection is going to make sure there's nothing wrong with the home that you can't see that's going to affect the value of the home. So we've got 10 days to get that home inspection done. And during that period, for whatever reason, at your sole discretion, you can back out of that deal for any reason and get your binder deposit back if we've left the contract standard. Okay, yeah, so we've got the inspection, and now we're going to submit a repair request. And then we've got about 7 days to negotiate repairs. Doesn't usually take that long. Typically, we send in repairs and they just accept that they're going to do it, or maybe there's a little pushback back and forth, or they want to give you cash instead. But we're going to agree, the buyers, you guys are going to agree with the sellers on what the repairs look like, how the sellers are going to perform on the repairs. And then they've got 10 days to make those repairs. There's a few other little tweaks in there, but that's really the basic gist of it. and focused on what you need to be doing. So we're through the repairs, and that is usually the biggest thing. The last piece of the puzzle really is just getting to get clear to close from your mortgage. And that should be on track. And we're checking the whole time with your loan officer and helping you in that process, but making sure everything is moving along. And once you get clear to close, and then we get to close, it's an amazing day. You bring the cash that you need to close, and you get the key, and now the house is yours. So that's step 6. And that's really the biggest part of it. And step 7 is what you need to do after closing. Of course, you've got to get your moving truck up there, and you've got to move in and all this and that. And I won't spend a lot of time on that because that's really going to depend on where you live now. But a lot of things you have to do if you're coming from out of state, you'll need to update your driver's license, right? I think you've got 30 days to do that or something. In my experience, the DMVs here have been super painless. I was actually really surprised when we moved here, 11 years ago or so. We had moved from overseas even, and getting our new driver's licenses was pretty easy. The next thing that you're going to do that everyone should do, if this is your primary residence, is file for homestead exemption. And we'll talk way more depth on this in other videos, but a homestead exemption has certain legal protections to it. And it also has things that'll protect your wallet as well. And the biggest thing in that is if you're a couple that own the house, each individual gets a $25,000 exemption. And so as a couple, you'll have a $50,000 exemption. And when I say exemption, what does that mean? That means if you buy a house, say $500,000, and then the county comes in and they say for tax purposes, they're going to assess it at $450,000, then that means that you're going to pay taxes, the tax rate on $450,000, not what you paid, just on what they assess it at. What the exemptions do is, say it's $50,000, that takes $50,000 off the value of your home in the tax person's eyes, right? As it's assessed. So it's still worth what you paid, $500,000 say, but now you're paying taxes on it as if it's a $400,000 house. And so there's one other little cool thing here is every year the tax guy can come in and he can increase the assessed value of your house. And so he's going to say, well, now your house is worth 10% more, right? So now instead of being worth $450,000, remember we have the exemption, but they're actually calling it $450,000. Now it's worth $4,500 more than that. And then the next year they could go 7%. The next year they could go 8%. The next year they could go 5% and then 10%. And you see how your taxes go up through that. Well, when you're homesteaded in Florida, the max that they can go up is 3%. So even though the market value of your house might go up 10%, or your neighbor's unhomesteaded house might go up 10% in assessed value, yours can only go up 3% per year. That gap that you build up, now your house, like you've built up $100,000, that the value of the house has gone up in the tax person's eyes, but your assessment only being allowed to go up 3% has given you a $100,000 gap. You can actually take that money and port it to your next Florida home. And so now you buy a house for $700,000 and automatically you get your homestead exemption for $50,000 on that house when you exempt on that house. And then you also get that $100,000 that you took from this house to that house. And so now your house, instead of being worth $700,000, is worth $600,000. And then you get your exemption, it brings it down to $550,000 that you're paying tax on. That is a huge benefit and a huge value here in Florida. So you don't want to forget to file for homestead. And I will walk you through all those dates, make sure that you don't forget and that you get that done on time. So hopefully that was helpful. If you are moving to St. Johns County, Florida, we'll review here really quickly. Number one, most important, because I can walk you through all the rest of the stuff, is reach out to me. And then together we're going to clarify your goals. And then we're going to go to 10,000 foot view and we're going to look down and we're going to find the best area or areas that meet your goals. And then from there, we're going to talk about how much you can afford. And then we are going to narrow down from that 10,000 foot view and come down a lot closer and look and see what the actual lots that you love are. What are the actual floor plans and houses that you love? And then we're going to go through the whole offer to close process. Man, I didn't talk about new construction. We'll do it in another video. New construction is sort of a different animal, but we'll help you with that process as well. If you're in new construction, we'll be out there taking photos of your house. We'll be keeping you connected to your build throughout the process. But we'll talk more about that another time. We get you to close, and then we'll get all those important dates. Usually to homestead, it can be 4 to 6 weeks. Sometimes to get the deed, depends on the title company. Sometimes they can do electronic things. And then you can go and take that and file in person for homestead. Do it online. All the other things that you need info with, I'm here to help you. And yeah, let's get you down here to St. Johns County and let's go.